Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us once again with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome again to the program.
Thank you.
October 3rd meeting, about 40 minutes in length. There was a special meeting before that we'll talk about, and we'll also talk about the upcoming Planning Commission meeting and many things happening around town. So let's start with that special meeting. And we've talked about this a few times. It was part of the strategic goals of the city was economic development, and there is now a plan put together. Tell us a little bit about that presentation and where the city's headed.
Yeah, so as you'll recall, last February the council got together and held a day-long planning session, and one of the goals that was established was around economic development and creating a more proactive program. So part of that was to create a new position for the city economic development manager, Carrie Furman. She's been here on Channel 12 talking about the work that she's doing, but so Monday night was an opportunity for Carrie to really roll out the new program that we've been working on since she started in July. And there's many components to it, and I'll kind of walk through them quickly. And you know, as a resident or a business owner, if you're watching this, Carrie can be a resource to you, whether you own a business in Maple Grove or you're thinking about getting into business. We have developed a number of resources that we can provide to the business community and to our residents now, and so we encourage you to reach out to Carrie if you have some of those needs.
Great.
But some of the components of our new program really focus on business retention and expansion, and so it's about getting out and kind of strengthening our relationships with our existing business community. So we are going out on, we call them BR&E visits, business retention and expansion visits, but it's really about strengthening that relationship and getting to understand our businesses and what their needs are, what kind of challenges they're facing in their businesses.
Now, just a question on that. I know it has been a point of even cities throughout the state to talk about keeping businesses in the state of Minnesota. Is this part of that, is keeping them in Minnesota, but then also keeping them in Maple Grove and not moving to another suburb?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the more that we can be connected with our businesses and understand what the issues are that they're dealing with and be with them early, so that if they're starting to think about, geez, we need to expand or we can't address our workforce needs here, whatever the issue is, we want to make sure that we understand what that is and we take the opportunity to try to address it, to keep them here. We certainly want to keep them in Maple Grove. We absolutely want to keep them in the state of Minnesota. So we see that as an opportunity to make sure that we're, you know, paying attention to that and that we're addressing those needs, hopefully early before they start into that decision-making process about a new site.
Sure.
Yep.
And size of business, is that something that's talked about within this? Is this focused on large businesses in the city or smaller or medium? How does that work out?
You know, I think there's a number of different levels. We think about big economic development where you're bringing in bigger manufacturers or bigger office type park developments. But then we have a lot of really small and mid-sized manufacturers in town, production companies that they're really an opportunity for growth as well.
Sure.
And so I think we need to connect with both of those, and so we have to think about big economic development, mid-sized economic development, all the way down to small economic development, where we're really talking about the entrepreneurs in the community, whether they, you know, currently are working from home or they're in a, you know, they're in a small tenant space in a building and they're thinking about growing. How do we help those entrepreneurs, you know, get the resources that they need or the help that they need to do, you know, to do that expansion? So I think it's on every level. We have a lot of small to mid-sized manufacturing companies in Maple Grove that have, you know, that have big growth potential, and so we really want to make sure we're paying attention to those businesses.
The staff will be busy going to all those businesses.
We will be, absolutely. So goal number one within our economic development plan, relationship building, and that's about our businesses, but it's also about making sure that DEED is aware of what we're working on, Greater MSP, the Workforce Center, that we're plugging into all those more regional resources as well. We have an existing business subsidy policy at the city. We're working on updating that to kind of align that with our current goals, which are really focused on office and industry. You know, we have a lot of retail development at Maple Grove, a lot of housing development. Those aren't the types of projects we'd be looking to incentivize here in town. We're really focused on that office and industry piece to grow that kind of create that job creation type effect in town.
And in a nutshell, what is the subsidy policy? What does that look like? How can businesses potentially take advantage of that?
Yeah, so what we're looking for within, if the city were to consider providing incentive to a business, is either the retention or addition of new jobs, and we have some wage goals within that.
Okay.
They have to be 150% of the state's minimum wage, and so right now that ranges, the jobs at a minimum have to be about $15 an hour.
Okay.
And so we're looking for the better jobs. We even, would love to see jobs that are more kind of the research and development level type, engineering type jobs where they're at a higher level of pay.
Right.
But that's kind of our basement.
Okay.
We have to be at that main level. And then it's the creation of new significant tax base, and that is another measure that we look at.
Sure.
And then kind of filling an unmet need or a need in the community for a new kind of niche of business, new kind of manufacturing, that kind of thing. So a couple different criteria that we're looking at for, and that's what we kind of refer to as the big economic development, where we're building new
Right.
buildings, bringing new businesses to town. Those are kind of the criteria that we're looking at.
Okay, very good.
Gravel mining area, we've talked about
Yes.
the tax increment financing plan for the gravel mining area. We're kind of on hold with the
Right.
legislative session coming up, so we're waiting to see what happens there. We did get some amended language for our TIF bill into the tax bill this past session. It's still kind of sitting there, hanging there.
Right.
We'll be picking that up in January. So for right now, we're kind of on hold with that. And then another piece of it is our marketing and communications plan. So once we kind of get our program put together, we need to get out and tell our story.
Right.
And not only to our existing business community, but when we're dealing with site selectors, greater MSP, deed, the broker community, the developer community, we need to be able to tell the story of Maple Grove, which is a wonderful story to tell,
Right.
and about the opportunities here in Maple Grove and why you want to move your business here. So we're going to be developing some marketing communications materials around that effort. And then the last piece really has to do with our comp plan update. And so one of the areas that we're looking at is both in the gravel mining area in the southwest or the southeast area, and then up in the 610 area on the northwest side. Kind of looking at the land use in those areas, creating a little bit more flexibility, but really focusing in on that office and industry type use. The residential will come in and fill back in behind that, and the market's likely to drive that.
Sure.
So we will be designating, different areas for those types of land uses, but we'll be moving through that comp plan update, and that's a key component, making sure the land use sits up against what our goals are for economic
Very
development.
good.
Yep.
Rollout time? Have you put together a time frame picture, because this is obviously a lot to do, so it probably comes in baby steps.
It does, and we've been out doing the business visits already.
Okay.
We've been trying to get out as much as we can. Carrie has been doing that, and I have as well. So I think we're kind of rolling it out, piece by piece here. A few things we kind of got to get, the policies in place,
Sure.
Get our marketing materials together. We got to make sure that sites are, ready to go before we are out kind of marketing them. We want to make sure some businesses' timelines for their decision-making process can be very brief. Others have a more, runway before they're going to be making those decisions.
Right.
But we need to make sure we're really ready to go before we get out and market sites and what the city has to offer. So
Very good.
kind of probably I would say over the next 12 to 18 months we'll be really rolling out this program. But this work that we've done to date really kind of sets the foundation for that.
Fantastic. Yes,
Yep.
a lot of information there, and certainly if people have questions, Carrie is the one to talk
Yeah.
to, and she is available to help businesses understand a little bit more of the bigger picture
Yep.
in Maple Grove.
Yep.
So that was a special meeting before the regular council meeting. Let's jump to that council meeting, and again, a lot of information passed along there, and one of the nice parts in the very beginning had to do with firefighters.
Yeah. So we've talked a few times here about recruiting firefighters, and it's always a challenge, particularly finding folks that are available during the day to provide that daytime response. So on this agenda, we appointed 5 probationary firefighters. And
Very
so
nice.
Councilmember Jagger pulled one of those off the consent agenda just to say thank you to those that have stepped forward to serve their community in that way, and we appreciate that. We will be doing recruitments again in the future, and again, we're always looking for folks that might be able to respond during the daytime hours. That really helps us out as a city manage our costs. A lot of cities have had to hire kind of full-time day staff to make sure that coverage is shored up. So really appreciate these folks for stepping forward to serve.
Very good. Congratulations to the new group. You
Yep.
mentioned business, and there was another mention of business within the regular council meeting. This
Yeah.
has to do with manufacturers. Tell us
Yep.
about the 2 points related to that.
Yeah, so October 2nd through the 8th, the state of Minnesota declared as Minnesota Manufacturing Week. We had a few businesses in Maple Grove that participated in that, and that involved the state through deed bringing out various groups to tour their businesses and learn a little bit more about what they do. So we had both Upshur Smith and LSC Communications. LSC Communications just recently changed their name. They were R.R. Donnelly. You might be familiar with them along the 169 corridor.
Right.
And so we did a proclamation recognizing Minnesota Manufacturing Week, and then we provided certificates of commendation to both those businesses for participating. I think just really important to recognize the work that these businesses are doing in our community. They, Maple Grove as a percentage, more of our payroll in the city, what businesses produce in terms of wages, we're higher than the state average in terms of manufacturing. We're like 17% of our wages in Maple Grove come from the manufacturing industry, where in the state it runs about 13%. So big component of
Yes.
our employment and our workforce here, and so we really want to be recognizing those businesses and thanking them for doing business here in Maple Grove. And so this was a neat opportunity to do that.
In many cases, a hidden component that you
Yeah.
don't hear much about those types of businesses, and so a week like this
Yep.
is important to
Yep.
shine the light a little bit on some of those that you don't stop into every day,
No.
but their parts and pieces are probably in some of the products you use every day.
Absolutely.
Move ahead on the council agenda. Parnassus Preparatory School was mentioned a couple times,
Yep.
so tell us about the two different components that were at the council meeting.
Yeah, so Parnassus Preparatory School, right off of kind of 610 and Zachary Lane up there, they are moving forward with kind of a renovation of that whole building and their site up there. They've been in that building, or they opened in 2011. The director or their board chair was there, Greg Fries, and he talked about they started out with about 350 students, and now they have about 1,000 students going to school there at Parnassus. So two different things that we talked about on Monday night. One is they are going to be issuing some bonds. They can do conduit debt because they're kind of charter schools are a bit of a part of the state, you know, a state entity, so they can issue conduit bonds through a city. They had talked with us about it, but they ended up going to the city of Ham Lake. You can issue so much bank qualified debt every year, which gives you a better interest rate. And we here in Maple Grove had issued about $8 million in bonds already for our street maintenance project, and so they got a better deal going to Ham Lake
Sure.
because they had that capacity left on those
Understand.
bank qualified bonds. But as the host city, where the facility is, we have to give our okay to Ham Lake issuing those bonds. And so that was kind of that public hearing piece, was for them to get their financing in
Okay.
place. The other piece of it was more the land use and development side. So they got approval for their school addition and renovation, both the concept and development stage plan and their final plat. So this kind of moved it through all in one fell swoop. It's going to be a really nice upgrade to that building. They kind of are redoing the entire exterior look of the building, how the traffic and the circulation works on the site, upgrading their playground areas and their outdoor spaces, adding a gymnasium, and then much of the indoor space at the school will be reconfigured as well. So pretty big project. They hope
Yes.
to get going here in November, and then have the bulk of it done so that come school time in August, their students and teachers can occupy the new space.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. So a lot happening up in that corner of town. Keep an eye on that.
Yep.
Also, near that corner, but a little bit more towards the gravel mines, inland development. We've heard a lot about inland being very involved in the northwest suburbs, and there's a site in Maple Grove they have interest in. that has a little history. Give us a little background on this whole project.
Yeah, it has a lot of history in the city. So this is at kind of the corner of Zachary and Weaver. Pretty prime site for industry there that has been sitting for a while. The site is home to a former landfill. It's a landfill that was more for residential waste, residential use, and so it's not the landfill that's there isn't terribly difficult to clean up. It should be pretty, the kind of waste that's there is not too bad. So we have been working with inland development partners to bring forward a project on that site. We did an RFP and got responses from the development community to that. Based on Inland's proposal, we selected them as the developer. And so what this does is it sets forth a preliminary development agreement for us to work together over the next 9 months to negotiate both a purchase agreement and then a development agreement for the site. One of the things we did talk about is there was a TIF district established here for this site many years ago in the mid-90s. And part of this will be to kind of clean that up and close it out. This development project will have some extraordinary costs because of the landfill on the site. They're going to have to kind of scrape and cap and put in additional foundation. Kind of some different things structurally to make the building work on that site. And so we'll be assisting with that with some of the TIF dollars that are available there. So the goal is just to get the site put back into development. As you mentioned, a prime corner for the city, and Inland brought forward a very nice proposal. So we're looking forward to potentially that project getting going maybe mid next summer.
Very good. All right, we'll keep you up to date on that. That is it for the main points of the council meeting. There were a few staff updates as always, and one was Ken Ashfield talking about his favorite topic is always transportation. And a couple we wanted to point out would be Vicksburg Lane and 610. Give us some dates on those.
Yeah, so Vicksburg Lane, first project to kind of cross the finish line here. Looking like it's going to be done the end of the week of October 17th and open to traffic, fully open to traffic. So that's a nice north-south connector just west of 494. That helps. It's kind of a off valve to 494. But the other two projects, 494, the goal is to have that back open fully to traffic by Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving. So that's a huge win. And then 610, a couple different phases of that here in the next 6 to 8 weeks. We will be having the ribbon cutting to celebrate the connection of 610 to 94 on October 20th. That'll happen in the afternoon. You'll probably see a lot of coverage of that event. And then hopefully that's a Thursday. I'm thinking that Friday they'll open up 610 to Maple Grove Parkway is the goal, to get that open to there. And then by Thanksgiving, the connection to 94 where the flyovers connect, that would be complete. So a lot of road left to build here. We talk to MnDOT nearly every day. I think Ken's on the phone with them talking about this. But that's kind of the plan at this point. So come Thanksgiving, I think we're going to see some definite improvements to the flow of traffic up here in the Northwest Metro.
Just in time for all the shoppers, to be able to get in and out of Maple Grove.
That's right.
So that's it for the council meeting on the 3rd. There was a little more information about candidate forums. We'll get to that in just a second and some of our city updates. But let's take a trip around town, Heidi, and talk about some of the things that are going on. I understand successful event of city cleanup that happened end of September, early October.
Yeah, so September 26th, Public Works crews picked up prearranged items from residents' homes, so you could arrange to have things picked up at the curbside. And then on October 1st, residents were able to drop off old appliances, tires, scrap metal. For some of those have a fee associated with them, some of them are free. Those could be dropped off at Public Works. So again, great opportunity to kind of get everything cleaned up before the winter, and always encourage our residents to take advantage of those opportunities.
Now Public Works working to get rid of all that, right? That's their process now, is to do the next step of it. Residents have been involved in the community survey for some time now. We've been giving you updates, and we've got another one now. It looks like we have crossed one part of the process off.
We have. So the mail surveys, we got back a sufficient number for for the data collection that we were trying to do, and then the online survey has closed out.
Okay.
So we're completed with the data collection. So now the company that we're working with is going to be putting together sort of the beginnings of the analysis of that data, and you'll probably see that coming forward here November, December timeframe as we work through the results of that survey. But we really want to thank everybody who took the time.
Yeah.
If you had the paper survey that the mail survey that you completed and sent back in, thank you for taking the time to do that, or if you went online to do that, we really appreciate it. This is very helpful to us as we move forward with our comp plan update, as well as our economic development efforts, and then just in general looking at the programs and services that we provide here at the City of Maple Grove.
All right, so more feedback to come as the results are tabulated.
Yeah.
As we tape this program, we're looking ahead next week to Fire Prevention Week. So you've got staff that are busy with that, and they've got a few things to promote. Tell us about their themes this year, if you will.
Yeah, so October 9th through the 15th is Fire Prevention Week here, and the campaign this year is Don't Wait, Check the Date, Replace Smoke Alarms Every 10 Years. So they really encourage people to check kind of the age of their smoke alarms in their home and replace them every 10 years. A couple of things. I think the technology associated with smoke alarms has increased and gotten better, and so now they recommend that you replace it with a photoelectric smoke alarm, and the old ones are kind of the ionization type smoke alarms, and so I think they're much less prone to nuisance alarms, and they're a little bit more pinpointed to the actual fire that could be happening in the home. So we encourage people to take a look at that if they have any, concerns with, trying to figure out, how do I figure that out? You can certainly give us a call at City Hall, and one of our fire staff would be happy to help.
Fantastic. All right, so they're busy with that week coming up.
They are.
And coming up shortly after that, you'll see the street sweepers out. So just a reminder again to people, as the leaves start to fall, or maybe fall most of the way, the city will be out helping out.
We will. We want to get those out of the street before we have to plow snow and kind of save them from the storm drains. We don't want all that plant material going down the storm drain. And so we'll be out over the next few weeks getting going on that work.
But the key for residents is don't rake your leaves into the street. That's not the process here. This process is those that happen to fall in the street, you want out of the street.
We do.
Okay,
yes,
very
that's
good.
Correct. Thank you.
Farmers Market, let's give you a little bit of an update. They are still busy outside, but not for much longer, but there is a plan after that. Tell us about what they're doing.
So we've scrimped up the hours a little bit because it gets darker a little bit earlier. So this past, yesterday on Thursday, the hours shifted to the 3 to 6 time frame. And then the outdoor market will be open through Thursday, October 20th. So a couple more weeks here. And they still have a lot of great fall products out there: apples, squash, pumpkins, and then of course the, sort of the standard meat, eggs, breads, baked goods, pickled products. All of those things will be available there through the fall. Yes. And then in November we shift to the inside market. They are looking for vendors for the indoor market. So if you're interested in that, you could contact our farmers market staff at City Hall. They have room for about 22 vendors, and the hours for the indoor market are 3 to 6, and it kind of goes every other Thursday. So we have a calendar for that as well through the winter months.
Okay, city's website to find out more information about how you can get involved if you'd like to be a vendor or a shopper. Election season upon us already. Absentee voting has started, and you have seen a lot of people. Tell us about that.
We have. It's been busy. I think people are getting out to vote early this year. You can vote absentee at City Hall any day from 8 to 4:30. It's set up on the second floor of City Hall. You can just come on up. There's an elevator on the main floor that'll bring you right up, or stairs, whichever is most comfortable for you. And we have staff there to help you do that. The Saturday prior to the election, Saturday, November 5th, City Hall will be open from 10 to 3 for absentee voting. And just as a reminder, with some of the changes in state law, it's no excuse absentee voting. You don't necessarily have to be absent from the precinct in order to do that. And then again, the week prior to the election, ballots will be fed right into the counters. So that's another change. We don't have to kind of go through the envelope process. It should make it a little bit more efficient for not only our staff but the voters as well. So we encourage people to take advantage of that service if they want to vote early.
Very good. And the other part of the election season is always judges, and you can still use some help. Tell us what people can do still at this late date.
Yeah, so we're still interested in more election judges that might be willing to serve on election day, and the applications are available on our city website, and if you are interested, you can go in and complete one of those and submit it, and our staff will contact you. Whether you're available all day or a portion of the day, we're interested in your service. So,
and still some training available, obviously.
Absolutely.
So it's not as if they just toss you there and say,
No.
good luck on election day. There
No.
is some training
Yep,
process that
we
happens.
provide all the training, and it is a paid position,
Right.
so you do earn a little money for your
Okay.
time spent. Yep.
Very good, and help out the city in a great way. Speaking of the election, if you want to find out more about the candidates you might be voting for, you have a way to help with that. Tell
Yep.
us about some of the upcoming forums.
Yeah, we've had a couple candidate forums so far, and our candidate forums cover not only our local city council races, but we also, for the House and Senate District 34 races, as well as county commissioner, and then school district as well. So the two remaining candidate forums that are coming up October 13th, and this will cover Hennepin County District 7 county commissioner race, and then State Senate 34 and State Representative 34A and B. So the District 34 reps will be there. October 13th, these are at the Government Center in the chambers. They are shown live and then recorded and played back on the local channels here as well.
Right.
October 20th, the Maple Grove City Council candidate forum will happen, and that's at 6:30 p.m. Again at the Government Center. So good opportunities to get some insight. And if you don't make it to the forum, tune in to Channel 12 and you can see those played back.
Very good. Also available on the website, so you can even see them on demand at a later point. Just click on and you can watch.
Yep.
Let's head over to the community center for a few updates. And kids are very happy in town because of one reason. The maze is back open. When did that happen?
The maze is back open again. They did close for their annual maintenance a couple weeks where they go in and give the maze a good cleaning,
right.
which is a good
Understandable,
thing.
yes.
Very good thing that we do that.
Yep.
So now we're back open for the kids to come and enjoy. So that's part, and we did that with the pools. We had some maintenance work done this fall, and so we're now back open for the winter season, or I should say the fall season. I hate to say winter quite
Right.
yet.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and so on that note, we have a couple great fall events coming up at the community center. We have the Women of Today craft show on Saturday, October 8th from 9 to 4. That's always a big draw at the community center. And then we have the Family Fitness Expo from 9 to 8 on Saturday, October 15th. And that has a wide variety of fitness-related products and services there. So some fun events coming
Very
up at the
nice.
community center.
One last reminder, property taxes.
Yeah.
It's time to just remember, in case you forgot, that those are due. So give us
Second
the
half.
date and information.
Yeah, so property owners are reminded that the second half of the 2016 property taxes are due Monday, October 17th.
Okay.
And then if there's any questions, you can direct your questions to the Hennepin County Taxpayer Services office, or you can always call our assessing office and they'd be willing to help you as well. So you can pay them in person at the Hennepin County Service Center, which is located in the Bell Tower West Office Building, kind of right off of the 95th and 94 area up in there. So
Okay.
you can take advantage of that storefront to do that as well.
Okay, very good. We've got about a minute or two left. Just want to give you a quick preview looking ahead at the Planning Commission coming up on October 10th, and a few items that I believe we touched on a little bit, but let's remind people. A U.S. Bank potential new property, and also the Sycamore Common. Just give us a quick overview of what will be discussed at the Planning Commission.
Yeah, U.S. Bank is looking to construct about a 4,000 square foot kind of a retail bank front right in front of the Paradise Car Wash there on the former Champs site. So right along Elm Creek Boulevard. There's a little portion of that site that is currently undeveloped, and so they'll be looking to do that. Then they would move out of there. They're a tenant in a building kind of just across the street to the east there. They would move into that storefront building. So nice project there. And then Sycamore Commons, just north of Upshur Smith, right along 494. This would be a 2-story office building. This is actually some land that the city owns. Some excess land there that we have a water tower on the site to the east. They would be constructing up against kind of closer to 494 there on that frontage piece. So very nice building and opportunity. There's a couple local businesses that'll be moving in there, moving out of some other space. So we're happy to keep them here in Maple Grove.
Economic development plan working already, right?
All right.
Exactly. Heidi, thank you very much for
You're
the
welcome.
information and the time. Let's leave you with some information about contacting the city. If you have any questions about topics we've covered, maplegrovemn.gov is the website. And again, the next meeting comes up on Monday, October 17th. Phone number for the city at the bottom of the screen, and our viewer response line 533-1710. Any questions or comments, you can give us a call here. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.